What's going on, car family? I'm Ben Wayne. Thank you for joining me in another video. Today, we are at BMW of Gwinnett Place to take a look at a car I've waited a very long time to see in person. This is the 2020 BMW 8 Series Gran Coupe, specifically the M850i xDrive. Now, if you've seen our video on the 8 Series convertible, you might have liked that car, but you might have found it to be a little bit cramped or not as practical as you would like. That's where this car comes in. This is essentially a four-door 8 Series. And today, we're gonna talk about its exterior and interior details and see how this ride has been engineered for excellence. But before we get started, I'd like to give a special thanks to my friend Tolli Poff for making this video possible. If you find yourself interested in this vehicle as we review it, please reach out to her. She'll be able to help you out. Let's go ahead and get started. Design-wise, I must say the 8 Series Gran Coupe is stunning. The lines on this car are just elegant. Now, compared to the 8 Series Coupe and convertible, I think by far the Gran Coupe is the prettiest. I love the way the lines flow from the front to the rear. We'll talk a little bit about how the engineers made this car look great, even though it's four doors. There's a lot of cars in the market and in the past that have come out as two-door variants and then four-door variants or vice versa, and they just don't look right at all. But BMW has truly made a home run with the design work on this car. Let's go ahead and get into some of the details. Look at this vehicle from the front. I love the tailored and poised look. It just looks stunning to me. Now, if you look at the headlamps, these are the slimmest headlamps in the entire BMW lineup. Of course, you have LED daytime running lamps, but also the BMW laser headlight technology. So it has a range of 600 meters for the European market, but here in the US, it's 300 meters. So you're gonna get plenty of light. Now, coming towards the center of the car, you have this huge BMW kidney grille that we're all familiar with now, but it features slats that open and close based on the car's ventilation needs. So I love how BMW just throws all this technology into their cars, especially when you see the slats open and close. When you see them function, I know it's simple, but it's still something that's just cool to look at. Let's focus on the side profile of the Gran Coupe. This is by far my favorite feature of this vehicle, and also by far the most drastic design departure when comparing the Gran Coupe to the standard coupe and convertible models. So first, let's talk about the wheelbase. The wheelbase has been extended by 7.9 inches when compared to the coupe and convertible models. That's gonna get you additional legroom in the rear and also give you a smoother ride because it positively impacts the vehicle's center of gravity. Now, another thing I want to make mention of is that the Gran Coupe is 1.2 inches wider than the initial cars that came out, and it also sits 2.2 inches higher. But notice the profile of the roof does not look rushed. It looks nice and tapered. And the designers were able to do that because that additional 7.9 inches in length gave them some time to play with the lines and give it a nice smooth tapered look, and it really just looks outstanding. As we make our way towards the rear of the vehicle, one thing I want to make mention of is that a panoramic roof is standard on the Gran Coupe. If you don't like that, you can option to have it as carbon fiber as well. Now, one of my favorite design details of the rear is the rear glass panel. If you look closely, you'll notice that it sits below the car's framework, and I really love that design detail. Just up close, it just helps pronounce the overall shape of the car. Now, these lines flow seamlessly into the trunk lid, and it just really gives it a nice clean and tailored look. Some cars of this caliber love to stick wings here, but I think that takes away from the car's overall design. Just look at it from the rear. It just looks elegant and classy with that integrated spoiler into the trunk lid. Now, coming lower, you have your LED tail lamps that help pronounce the width of the vehicle. They're extremely wide, and I love the design details BMW has incorporated into the lights as well. Coming lower, of course, you have your sports exhaust system, and we'll get to hear that a little bit later in the review. So we talked about a few of the design characteristics of the 8 Series Gran Coupe. Let's go ahead and lightly touch on the structure and driving dynamics of this vehicle. So BMW naturally has incorporated its carbon core technology for the 8 Series Gran Coupe, making the car lighter and more rigid. So BMW uses carbon fiber and aluminum in the car's body structure. I wish other auto manufacturers did that. Mercedes-Benz, are you listening? Also, this car features all-wheel drive. In addition to all-wheel drive, you get all-wheel steering. That's right, the rear wheels are able to steer too. As a matter of fact, they're able to steer up to 3 degrees in either direction. How does that work, and why do we need that? So the benefit of having all-wheel steering is being able to virtually extend or shorten the car's wheelbase. The rear wheels will turn in the opposing phase as the front wheels, making the car more agile, which is really helpful in parking lot situations. But at higher speeds, the rear wheels will turn in the same phase as the front wheels, making the car more stable at higher speeds. So that's really helpful when driving this vehicle. In addition, this car does have a larger footprint than the coupe and convertible, so it's going to give you that sense of confidence when driving this car aggressively as well. Let's go ahead and check out the wheels, tires, and brakes. This particular 8 Series Gran Coupe features the 20-inch M V-spoke wheels finished in cerium gray. Now they're shot in high-performance Pirelli P0 tires that are also run flat. They're 245 up front and 275 in the rear. Now, of course, your brake rotors are internally ventilated front and rear. They're also grasped by brake calipers that have been finished in a beautiful blue featuring the M logo. The heart of this M850i xDrive Gran Coupe is a twin-power turbocharged 4.4-liter V8 producing 523 horsepower and also 553 pound-foot of torque between the engine speeds of 1800 to 4600 RPM. Now this package is connected to an 8-speed automatic transmission. 0 to 60 occurs in just 3.7 seconds. Now, since there is an 840i model, I do feel obligated to share you the specs of that vehicle as well. That is powered by a 3-liter straight-six engine producing 335 horsepower, and your 0 to 60 time is going to be between 4.6 to 4.9 seconds, depending if you opt for the all-wheel drive model or not. But let's go ahead and hear how this engine sounds. When I first sit in this vehicle, my impression is that this is a really nice interior that is able to keep up with the price point of the vehicle. It's not halfway done. The quality of everything I touch just feels nice in my hands. The leather is smooth. The form, fit, and finish of everything else just looks awesome to me. Now, of course, BMW has incorporated smooth leather on the top of the dash, and then you have your latest iteration of iDrive on a lovely 12.3-inch touchscreen display, clear and vibrant, very easy to use. I've done a separate video on the iDrive system in the X7, so if you haven't seen that yet, be sure to check that out. Coming lower, you have your air conditioning vents. You also have controls that are easily accessible if you want to turn on the ventilation for your seats. I love how it's placed in the center console as opposed to the door. You can just look straight and there it is right there, easy access. You have controls for your radio, and then underneath this cover, you have 2 cup holders, a USB port, and then a wireless charging area. So the latest and greatest as always. Coming further back in the center console, you have your electronic gear selector, your 360-degree camera system, your engine start-stop button. Again, different modes for your car, your Sport, Comfort, Eco Pro, and Adaptive buttons here. And then another way to control your iDrive system as well. So again, I always mention this when reviewing these cars, that there's multiple ways to control the same thing. You can either use the touch screen, you can use voice commands, gesture control, and even this pad in the center console here to access that iDrive system. So everybody's going to be able to find a way that they prefer to control that as well. So no struggle with that there. Coming further back, you do have a center console that's wrapped in that red leather and additional storage, USB ports in the center console here as well. Now coming towards the steering wheel, it is nice and thick, which gives you a great sense of control on the vehicle. Some of the vehicles out here, I hate when the steering wheel is just, the rim is just too thin. It just doesn't feel right, but this just, it feels good in my hands. You have your controls for your instrument cluster, and then 2 thick aluminum shift paddles for downshifting and upshifting if you want to drive this car in manual mode, which I strongly encourage. Behind the steering wheel is a 10.3-inch thin film transistor display. Again, very vibrant and easy to read, gives you a plethora of information. And then you also have a head-up display system as well, giving you your speed limit, how fast you're going, and any other information that you could possibly want. So all the technology is just really incorporated extremely well in this car. Now coming towards the door panels, they're covered in black leather. You do have ambient lighting, but I love the speaker grills in this vehicle. The unique design it has and just the lighting elements just really just takes this interior to the next level. You also have red leather accents and then controls for all 4 windows and your side view mirrors as well. And of course, some storage panels on the bottom of the door. Now the seats do feel comfortable. Are they the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in ever? No, but these surely will get the job done. They are comfortable. You could easily take a long road trip in this vehicle. Of course, they're perforated so that seat ventilation can get to you, and they just feel really nice. They look nice as well. Just the finish, just rubbing my hands against the leather just feels so good. And of course, they're fully adjustable as you would expect of a car of this caliber. Now, one thing I want to make mention of, this is the Gran Coupe. We did say it was larger than the coupe and convertible variants. So you're getting an additional 3.4 inches of headroom and then 7.1 inches of legroom in the rear. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm about 5'11", so you can kind of gauge how much space you would have if you were to sit in this car. But overall, I don't feel cramped at all. This feels extremely comfortable. Let's go ahead and check out the back. So we're in the rear, and seating in the rear is surprisingly comfortable. It's more comfortable than I thought it would be. I knew we were getting some additional leg room, but again, I'm 5'11", and there's obviously still plenty of room here. I'm not cramped at all. You could easily sit in the back for hours on end. Now you'll notice that the center console goes all the way to the rear of the vehicle, but there is seating for 5. So there's one person here, one person where I'm sitting, and then one person could straddle here if need be. Obviously, the person who buys this car is not going to be riding around with 5 people all the time, but you could seat 4 comfortably in this car if you need to. 5 if you're really in a pinch. Now, the center console does have air conditioning vents, 2 USB Type-C ports, and then controls for your heated seats in the back, and then controls for your ventilation system as well. Now, coming over to the door panels, they're covered in smooth black leather, and then they have the Fiona red accents, just like they are up front, and these gorgeous speaker grills. So the luxury has not been cut off for the people in the rear. Now you do have power sunshades. One touch, sunshade goes up. Touch it again, it goes down. I can also control my panoramic roof. Now sitting in the back, one thing I will say is the panoramic roof for this car is a must because it provides a sense of open airness that you're just not going to get with a solid roof on this vehicle. So that's really nice. And of course, one touch can control the shade for this vehicle as well. But overall, the rear is just spacious. I'm impressed. It's more spacious than I thought it would be. I really love what they've done, and I have to say, I like this car more than the coupe and convertible variants of the 8 Series. That was a brief overview of the 2020 BMW M850i X 8 Series Gran Coupe. I honestly think this is the best looking of all the 8 Series so far. Let me know what you guys think about this car in the comments section. I love the beautiful sapphire black metallic finish against the Fiona red leather interior. This car is just stunning, especially with its chiseled look on the side profile as well. If you're interested in this vehicle, please be sure to reach out to my friend Tolli Poff here at BMW of Gwinnett Place. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.